Imagine walking into the LSAT just 4 short weeks from now feeling calm, confident, and in control. The questions are coming right at you, and instead of panicking, you see each question as a puzzle you already know how to solve. That's not just a fantasy, it can be your reality if you apply the right strategies. So today, I'm sharing with you 10 little-known strategies most test takers overlook. These aren't just going to be basic pointers like study more or take more practice tests. Instead, these are targeted methods that can help you break through plateaus and see real, measurable improvements in a matter of weeks. Today, I'm going to give you an actionable plan to boost your LSAT performance, one that goes beyond the usual advice and cuts straight to what works. First, for those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now, strategy number one for you is to build a bulletproof study plan. You've probably heard the phrase, a goal without a plan is just a wish. Nowhere is that more true than with the LSAT. The biggest reason people don't reach their target scores is a lack of structure. Often, they study sporadically with no system for measuring progress or addressing weak areas. So here's what you want to do. First, pick your system. Whether you prefer a digital calendar like Google Calendar or a physical paper planner, commit to one method. This is where you map out your daily and weekly objectives. Second, use the LASER approach. LASER is an acronym standing for Learning, Accuracy, Sections, Exams, and Review, and it's the foundation of the personalized day-by-day study plans we create for our students LSAT Unplugged. If you'd like my support getting your own study plan and pairing it with private one-on-one coaching on a consistent weekly basis, you can check out the links below to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now here's the LASER approach broken down for you. L for learning is the first phase where you work on your foundational concepts like common argument patterns. A is for accuracy, where you drill question types and review your mistakes thoroughly. S is for sections during timed practice to build speed and strategy. E is for exams, full-length exams to develop endurance and adapt to test day conditions. R is for review, where you look over every mistake to pinpoint recurring errors. At LSAT Unplugged, we use the Socratic review method for our review process. More on that a bit later. Now, step 3, after you've created your plan, is to divide your time. Assign different days to different tasks. For example, Monday and Wednesday could be for drilling and review, while Tuesday and Thursday are for timed sections. Then on the weekend, you take a full practice test. Now, here's a story from one of my students who adopted this approach. Liz was a busy undergrad, juggling classes and part-time work. She felt overwhelmed by the LSAT, so she adopted Google Calendar and mapped out each day. By following a structured plan, her stress plummeted and her scores started climbing within just 2 weeks. Now, the second strategy I want to share with you today is to focus on high-yield question types, because not all LSAT questions carry the same weight in terms of frequency and difficulty, even though, yes, every question is worth the same. Some types appear every single exam, though, and often trip up test takers who haven't built a solid approach. If you can master these high-yield types, you're setting yourself up for maximum impact in the shortest time. So here's where to focus. In logical reasoning, focus on necessary assumption, inference, and flaw. Now, necessary assumptions show up frequently and can be tricky if you don't spot the gap in the argument. Flaw questions are a classic, and they hinge on recognizing common logical missteps. Inference questions test your ability to see what is actually supported by the stimulus and what is going too far. In reading comprehension, you want to focus on main idea questions, author's opinion, and passage structure. These are your general global questions, and they can help you clarify your understanding, paving the way for success later in the question set. So you want to dedicate the majority of your weekly study time to these high-yield types until you master them. Maybe you drill those particular question types, cycling through them so you stay fresh on all of them. And so, by zeroing in on these question types first, you see quicker score jumps, you gain more confidence, and then you have time to address other, less frequent topics later. The third strategy I want to share with you is front-loading your approach to timing. Many test takers make the mistake of treating all questions equally. They'll spend so much time on a handful of ultra-difficult questions that they end up guessing randomly on the easier ones at the end. That's a recipe for missing out on low-hanging fruit, questions you could have answered correctly with a bit more time. So front-loading means securing as many points as possible early in each section, especially on those that are typically more straightforward. By the time you reach the tougher questions later, you've already locked in a strong baseline score. So here's how to do it. First, identify your early easies. In the first half of a logical reasoning section, the questions are generally more direct. So aim to complete them quickly and accurately. Maybe you aim to solve the first 10 questions in roughly 10 to 12 minutes, building up a time bank that you can apply to the tougher questions later in the section. In reading comp, look at the first passage to start with. Often, it's relatively approachable compared to the others, and don't spend too long second-guessing yourself on the questions associated. In logical reasoning, again, you're doing roughly 1 minute per question for the first 10. If you're stuck, mark it, move on, come back later when you have leftover time. For reading comp, set a goal for finishing each passage and associated questions. Average 8 minutes and 45 seconds per passage, but some, of course, are harder than others. If you're ever feeling stuck on a single detail, skip it and revisit it later. Finally, deal with the hard questions last. The key is to not let a single tough question monopolize your time or get you bogged down, since everything is worth the same. So when you encounter a question that seems unusually complicated or time-consuming, flag it and move on. Secure the easier points first, then swing back later. Now, one of my students, let's call him Brian, used to panic when he saw complicated answer choices. He'd spend 2 or 3 minutes on a single question, which meant he had to speed through the last 6 or 7. After adopting the front-loading approach, he'd breeze through the first 15 or so logical reasoning questions, lock in those points, and only then revisit the challenging ones. His score jumped 10 points in less than a month, simply because he stopped wasting time on the hardest questions too early. So front-loading your approach ensures you grab every easy and moderate question first, dramatically boosting your potential score. By the time you reach those nerve-wracking final questions, you've already banked a significant number of points, and that safety net helps you stay calm and focused on whatever's left. The fourth strategy I want to share with you is to use active reading techniques, because reading comp isn't just about reading words on a page. It's about understanding and analyzing a text's structure, the author's tone, and any contrasting viewpoints. Passive reading leads to confusion and guesswork, while active reading gives you a roadmap for finding correct answers quickly. So here are some steps you can take. The first one is paragraph summaries. After each paragraph, pause for just 5-10 seconds and summarize in your own words what's the main point here and how does it connect to the previous paragraph. Step 2, mark key shifts. Notice transitions like however, in contrast, or but. These often signal the author's pivot in tone or argument. Step 3, identify the author's voice. Are they advocating a specific view, or are they just presenting neutral information? You also want to look for clue words or phrases that reveal their opinion, like fortunately, or it's clear that, or the results suggest. The benefit is that you'll retain more information from each passage. Answering detail-based questions becomes much faster because you know exactly where to look, and you get better at inferring the author's perspective, which is critical for those tone and viewpoint questions. The fifth strategy I want to share with you is to drill smart, not hard. Many people think success on the LSAT is about practicing or drilling as many questions as possible. But if you're not analyzing your performance or fixing recurring issues, you're just reinforcing bad habits. So quality over quantity. After each drill set you do, after every timed section or full-length exam you take, review every single question you got wrong or had difficulty with. Write down why your chosen answer was wrong, if it was wrong, and ultimately what made the right answer right. You want to track your progress with an error log. This might be a simple spreadsheet or a notebook where you categorize each mistake by question type and reasoning. Over time, Your error log reveals exactly where you need more targeted practice. And if you'd like my help, engaging in this analysis, building out your personalized study plan based on your specific weak areas, getting private one-on-one coaching to address them, I'd be glad to help you out on your journey to 170 plus. You can check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. The sixth strategy I want to share with you is to simulate test day conditions. This is so important because practicing in a vacuum where it's quiet, relaxed, and you can pause anytime, that won't prepare you for the mental and physical strain of test day. If you simulate test day conditions, you're building up your stamina, managing test anxiety, and adapting to the realities of the test day environment. That way, by the time you take the actual LSAT, it'll feel like just another practice test. You'll have the focus and resilience to stay calm under pressure. Strategy number 7 is to review like a pro using the Socratic review method. Now, reviewing your tests might be the single most important factor in boosting your LSAT score. It's where you transform mistakes into lessons so you don't repeat them. You want to categorize your mistakes by where the error came from. Was it the question stem, the stimulus, or a trap answer? Then you write a key takeaway. For example, I need to check the author's tone more carefully before jumping to conclusions. You also want to track patterns if you're struggling, for example, with a certain question type or a certain concept or a certain method of reasoning. You bump it to the top of your list for targeted drilling. Now, a story for you about this is that one of my former students would rush through her review, telling herself she basically got it, but once she started meticulously categorizing her errors, she discovered that she consistently missed subtle shift words like although and however. A small tweak, just highlighting those shifts, was all it took to drastically reduce her error rate. Now, strategy number 8 is to use a warm-up routine before your practice tests. Think about athletes going into a big game. They warm up to get their bodies and their minds ready. Similarly, your brain needs a quick run-through before diving into the actual LSAT. So you want to warm up with easy questions, a couple easy logical reasoning questions, or a short passage that you've done before, just to build your confidence. Or maybe you pick a recurring theme, like identifying evidence versus conclusion, and you do a quick drill related to it. Or maybe you calm your nerves just with a few deep breaths, positive visualization of your success, and reminding yourself that you are well prepared for the LSAT. That way, when you finally take the LSAT, your mind isn't stumbling through a cold open. You're already firing on all cylinders, which can help you avoid careless mistakes in those crucial first minutes. Strategy number 9 is to take intentional rest days because you can't maximize performance if you're mentally fried. Just like your muscles need to rest after a workout, your brain needs downtime to process and solidify what you've learned. So on rest days, totally disconnect yourself from anything LSAT, no drills, no reviews. Let your mind fully reset. Instead, you relax. You go for a walk, you meet a friend, you watch a movie, anything that feels like it's going to recharge you and build up your energy. Now, if you feel you must do something LSAT related, if you'll be stressed not to look at the LSAT, it's okay, but keep it light. You could take a quick glance at your progress or maybe a short journal entry about what you want to tackle next, but you're not taking a full practice test on an off day. And actually, we build off days into our students' study plans just because taking a rest is so important, because that way you come back to studying with more focus and energy, and tricky concepts that previously you couldn't get are now suddenly clicking. Finally, the 10th strategy, visualize your success. And this matters because mindset plays a massive role in your test day performance. Negative self-talk or doubt can totally derail even the best prepared students, while visualization keeps you calm and confident. So close your eyes, spend a couple minutes just picturing yourself acing each section, and fully look at all the details. Imagine being in your test space, whether at home when you're taking the LSAT remotely at your desk or in person at a testing center. You're reading the questions and understanding them. You're relaxed yet focused. And then 2 weeks later, you're visualizing the screen showing your goal LSAT score, and you're feeling how proud and relieved you are. Now, a story about this, a student of mine was totally petrified of the LSAT. Every time she imagined test day, she pictured everything going wrong. But once she started using positive visualization for just 5 minutes a day, seeing herself tackling passages calmly and choosing the right answer every time, her outlook changed. She walked into the LSAT feeling empowered and actually scored several points higher than on her prior practice exams. So now you have 10 potent strategies to transform your LSAT prep in just 4 weeks. To recap them, you're building a bulletproof day-by-day personalized study plan because structure is everything. You're focusing on high-yield question types, tackling the most frequent ones first. You're front-loading your approach to timing to secure your easy points early. You're using active reading techniques to reduce guesswork. You're drilling smarter, not harder, prioritizing quality drills and immediately reviewing them. You're simulating test day conditions with full practice tests. You're reviewing like a pro using the Socratic review method. You're doing a warm-up routine before test day. You're taking intentional days off for recovery, and you're visualizing your success. By consistently applying these strategies, you're building the skills, timing, and confidence necessary to walk into test day feeling unstoppable. And if you'd like my help getting that 170 plus, securing that top score, you could check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.